Thanks so much for joining us. I wanted to give you a little bit of a preview of what we're going to look at this Sunday. I don't know about you, but my life is entirely too busy too often. And I feel like with all of the responsibilities that we all have, we spend an awful lot of time thinking about the things that we need to get done. We have church and school and home and jobs and chores and all of this stuff. And how exactly does our faith fit into this? In fact, most of us think that if we could just figure out how to get the faith part of our lives maybe a little bit bigger, if we could increase the church part a little bit more, maybe if we finally started coming to Sunday nights or Wednesday nights or whatever the thing is that if we think we do, we'll fix it, it'll kind of get our lives in balance. Or maybe we think that we'll finally read the perfect book on getting things done and we'll find the perfect system for productivity. I appreciate those ideas, every one of them, but what I'm going to tell you Sunday is they're not exactly the answer. In fact, let's say this paint represents time. Let's say this paint represents even our faith. And what we tend to want to do is apply a little bit more of it in a little different place in our lives. Here's what we'll try. I'll put a little bit of this paint here on the church section. That's all well and good, but the problem is our lives are still busy. And what happens when things start moving at speed in our lives? Well, I'll show you. It's not so bad at first. Things kind of stay where they're supposed to stay. When a normal day and a normal week goes like you want it to, it doesn't seem so bad, but at some point something unusual happens. The economy takes a hit, or your kids start acting up, or something goes wrong and the pace gets increased. And before long, what you did doesn't seem to exist anymore at all. What you added is just almost completely gone. The problem is, once your life speeds up and then eventually slows back down and you've tried to make these changes, you've tried to add an extra prayer each day or an extra Bible reading each day, you've tried to add an extra corner of your life that's Christian, the problem is, after life speeds up and slows down, you find out that you haven't changed the whole picture at all. So what I'm going to suggest to you this Sunday is a different way of life. And just because there has to be a fancy term for everything, there's a Latin phrase for this. It's called living coram Deo. That's the phrase that means life in the presence of God. How would your life be different if Christ were the center? And not just the centerpiece of the life, the part that touches all other parts of your life. Let me try another demonstration. What if, instead of putting a little bit of paint over one part of life or paying attention to one segment of life, I really paid attention to what's in the middle of life and really loaded the center down with what's most important to me. Life is still going to speed up. I can't stop that from happening. But what happens when life speeds up, when you pay attention to the center instead of the peripheral, is going to be really different. And as you watch this fan spin and you think about all of the spinning plates that you're juggling in your life, I want you to think about what happens if instead of paying attention to the edge, you pay attention to what's at the center. You know that Jesus said, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And He also said, seek first the kingdom of God. So that's the idea that we're going to look at this Sunday. What's at the center? What's your foundation? What's the bedrock of your life? I hope you'll join us on Facebook or YouTube Sunday morning at 10:30.